this. So, so here's the deal, right? The CUNY decided to have some additional period that they call the recalibration period for some of the schools, because those were schools that had already started their spring semester at the end of January. And I think we're pretty deep into the semester, and we're probably even at like midterm time when all this stuff started happening with COVID-19. So they basically gave some schools, they being CUNY, gave some schools extra days, like at the end of March and beginning of April, to make sure that because I think there were still some students that didn't have laptops or tablets and things, to make sure that everybody actually had what they needed to continue, because the stakes were pretty high, because I think they were already like in testing times and stuff. Now LaGuardia is completely carved out from that, meaning that because we have the 12-week 6-week setup where our semesters only started in March, we will have, and let me just say it very clearly, we will have spring recess. In fact, it starts tomorrow. And it runs from tomorrow, the 8th, until Thursday, the 16th. And from, the Friday, the 17th, the classes will resume. So if you are only taking classes at LaGuardia, you would be on spring recess from tomorrow, the 8th, until Thursday, the 16th. If you are also taking classes, or and I've had this in some of my other classes where students, they have a sibling who's at another school, or they're taking a class at another school as well. If you are in any way involved with some of the 4-year schools, and either you or someone is taking classes there, they only have spring recess from the 8th to the 10th. So basically just to cover the first days of Passover and Good Friday. So it's just from Wednesday to Friday. But for LaGuardia, we're out on spring recess from the 8th to the 16th. And, just to add another layer of confusion, if you do have kids in your home, as you know, the governor made some like executive order, and the DOE had to cancel spring break completely for K through 12. So it's very confusing, because it seems like no one is getting spring break, but we actually are. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
All right. So, spring break is a good time to try to just take a breath, because it's been really crazy, and also to maybe catch up, if there's catching up that is needed for some of your classes and stuff. I personally am not, giving any new work for people to do during spring break in this class. I actually think it's a perfect time for everybody to kind of catch up and see if there's anything that they're missing and get that done. And, to that end, I've created a few documents to run you guys through, what we have done up to now to make sure that you are up to date. But before we do that, I also just want to go through a few other things that I found out in this time. So, for the run of the class today, we'll go through some administrative items from CUNY that may or may not impact you. Then I'll go over what we've done up to now, and you can see if you're missing anything. Then I'll go over some resources that have become available in this time, to make sure that everybody is getting the help that they need. And after that, we'll revert back to the degree discussions that we had last week, to make sure that everybody is in a position to set up their course selections, which we already started last week, and which I had made due this evening. I'd like to hear how people are doing, because if this evening is not a realistic time frame for you for whatever reason, I'm okay with pushing the deadline back. The reason I made it this evening is that once you guys submit your course selections, I actually have to pull everything down and then go through everything, and for each person in the class basically go through and make sure that your course selections make sense. So it's going to take me a bit of time, and that's why I'm trying to get the stuff in as close as possible to the beginning of spring break, so that I can go over it during spring break, because we'll only once spring break starts, I'll only see you again on the 21st of April, Tuesday the 21st. So I'll see you in 2 Tuesdays' time. And registration for the fall semester starts on the 23rd of April. So I want us to be in a position that by the time we return to each other on the 21st, that I've been able to review your course selection and that it makes sense so that you are in a good place to register. All right, so that's why I'm pushing so hard for you guys to finish, as soon as possible. All right, so does anybody have questions at this moment? Otherwise, I'm going to start going through the admin stuff. All right. So let me share my screen with you. Can you guys see my screen? Can just one person say yay or nay? Yes, can you see?
Yes, I can
okay,
see
thank
it.
you. Thank you so much. So I guess the first reminder is that and this is in the chat window as well, I do have office hours today at 1 p.m. on the Zoom meeting ID. Remember that office hours can be anything. This first year seminar is for you. So even if it's some other non-school related thing that is pressing and urgent that's affecting your schooling, you're welcome to come and talk to me about it. If it's something to do with the work in this class, of course you should come and talk to me about it. If you have an accounting question, because the main thing that I teach at the school is accounting, so you're also welcome to come and ask me an accounting question. It doesn't matter if you're not in my class. All right, so please take advantage of this. And if you're still struggling with your course selections, you can also come to the office hours. And I recognize that everyone may not be available at 1 p.m. You may have another class, you may have some family commitments. So if that's the case, you can always email me any questions that you have. So just to start us off today, I wanted to make you aware of some updates to grading and other policies at CUNY. This is very important and does affect you guys. And so I put the link here so that you can always refer back to it even when our class is finished. So let me just open this up for you. So on April 4th, the provost and the chancellor and whomever else released this information. And so I'm just going to go through it. You may already know this. If you were wondering, I mean, you guys are in the first year seminars. You're probably not some of you are not that close to finishing, but you may be, or you may have other, people who are going to graduate this semester. The graduation was supposed to be on June the 16th. It's of course been postponed without any knowledge at this time of when it will actually happen. This doesn't affect diplomas. So if someone's actually finishing this semester, spring 1 or even spring 2, just because graduation is postponed doesn't mean that you won't get your diploma. You will, and you will be able to transfer and so on. But of course, everyone's kind of sad or upset because, you want to march and graduate properly and so on. But public gatherings are prohibited at the moment, and we don't foresee that, or at least the CUNY doesn't foresee that they will be allowed by June the 16th. So graduation is postponed. The other thing that's crucial here that I want you guys to be aware of, and I'm not sure if this information has come through to you, and even if it has, like, some of the messaging is so confusing, even to me, that I just feel like it's important for me to reiterate this. If you are registered for Spring 2 2020, right, so the class that would start on June the 20th, and if you're unclear about what I'm talking about, I just want to make sure that you understand. So I'm just going to go to the academic calendar and reiterate this. We're here now in this semester. The semester ends with final exams and stuff in the second week of June. The spring 2 semester, session 2, if you start the Saturday classes, starts on June the 20th. If you're taking weekday classes, starts on June the 22nd. All right. That semester is now going to also be online. It's distance learning. It's not going to be in person. So I would highly recommend that you review the classes that you are planning to take for spring session 2, and make sure that you are comfortable with the fact that they will all be what they call distance education, but it basically means that they will be online and not in person on the campus, because I think the college CUNY is still under the impression, and I think they're right, that by the time those classes have to start, we are not sure yet that we will be able to have big gatherings of people. In fact, that even the DOE has basically, it's basically that school is out, right? Although it isn't maybe necessarily said verbatim, but we're not expecting that K through 12 would go back before the end of June anyway. So I think what CUNY is doing is just saying, look, our classes that start close to the end of June are just going to be distance education, because even if we are able to come back together in July or August, by then the classes would have started already, and it's too disruptive to do part of it distance and part of it in person. Does anybody have questions about this? Because this is a pretty big deal, in my opinion, if you are registered for spring 2 classes. Okay, so no questions. For fall 2020, they're saying guidance is still forthcoming. They haven't yet said what's going to happen with fall. So the New York State, I guess, I don't know what is this, education department, or I don't know exactly what that is, but it's obviously some governing body, says that you can offer programs in distance education format beyond summer 2020, but it would have to be approved. They are not sure what's going to happen. I'm hoping for all of us that we will be back to normal, because I think we all have different learning styles, and for some people being away from a classroom is actually detrimental and problematic in terms of being able to study, because of all the things that are happening, maybe in the home and so on. So this guidance is forthcoming. As soon as I know, I'll tell you, but I'm crossing my fingers that by fall things will be back to normal. All right. And please ignore this piece about spring recess being shortened, because that doesn't apply to us. As I said at the start of this call, our spring recess starts tomorrow, April the 8th, and runs until, Thursday, April the 16th. So if you look at this calendar, then I'm going to bring up here now. Tomorrow we start the spring recess. It ends on the 16th. So I will see you again on the 21st. Any classes that you have that meet on a Friday would start meeting from the 17th, all right? The other thing that I thought was important in this whole long-winded business year is, is changes to the grading policies and also deadlines that they are allowing here because of COVID-19. So basically, and this can sound somewhat confusing, but I'm just going to try to go through it step by step. Again, I know this might be super boring or whatever for those who feel like they've got everything under control and they don't feel like their classes are in danger. But let's just have full information, because we are living in uncertain times. So you just want to know what your options are. What they're basically saying at CUNY is that during spring 2020 and at the end, once you receive your grade, right, letter grades obviously run from A through F. You actually have the option, if you want to convert to credit or no credit grading for any for any class that you choose to. So you can convert any of your letter grades to credit or no credit. So what does that mean? First of all, notice there's a deadline. So our final grade submission, going back to the academic calendar, is June the 15th, right? So you will have the option from June the 15th onwards to decide whether you want to, for whatever grade you get, right? A, B, C, D, you can decide whether you actually want to take credit for that, whether you actually want the grade to count, let's just make it simpler, whether you want the grade to count towards your GPA or not. Okay, that's the bottom line here. If you felt that maybe you were in a class and you were hoping to get an A and now suddenly you got a C because, you know, circumstances have become out of control or whatever, you can actually choose not to have that C impact your GPA and change that grade to CR, which means you get credit for the class that you completed it, but it doesn't actually impact your GPA. If you fail the class for whatever reason, you can actually convert that F to NC, which is a no credit. So instead of having an F on your transcript, it will say no credit, and you would be able to retake the class at a later stage. And remember, credit or no credit grades will not impact your GPA. So this is kind of like a, I would almost refer to it as almost like a get out of jail free card at the end of the semester if things go really pear-shaped and you're like, oh man, you know, my grades are not looking the way I would have hoped. You can still, if it's a passing grade, you can still get credit to say that you completed the class, but it's not going to kill your GPA. All right. If you do choose to keep the letter grade, so you got a letter grade A through F, you decide to keep it, or you don't react within 20 business days after the grades are due, then it will go into your GPA. All right. And credit or non-credit classes, as I said before, will be excluded. And now if you're concerned about well, what does that mean for completing my degree? Credit or no credit classes will still count towards your degree completion. So it won't be like, oh, you know, I took a CR when I took a CR grade because I got a C in Intro to Business. Now I have to take that class again. No, you're done with the class. It's just that the class is not going to count towards your GPA. All right, so you don't have to take the class again. Obviously, if you fail a class and you take no credit, then you would have to take the class again. It's just the credit grade that will allow you to still have that class count towards degree completion. And will this credit, no credit transfer? Yes, they will transfer to colleges, but only colleges within CUNY. All right, so if you think, I know some of you said you wanted to transfer maybe to NYU. A few people spoke about that, and some other schools. That's not going to be, you know, that's going to be up to that school. But I think it's probably not going to transfer because this is an arrangement within CUNY to allow students to be able to still transfer those classes. If you were placed on academic probation at the start of spring 2020, academic probation is usually around the issue of having a GPA lower than 2, all right? Your grades this semester will not impact whether you will be academically dismissed. So even if at the beginning of the semester they said, well, you're on probation and you better get to, you know, X grade to improve your GPA, if you don't reach that point this semester, you cannot be dismissed from the school because of the extreme disruption that is happening in everybody's learning. A warning here, that if you do choose to use the credit or no credit option, you need to make sure that, you know, about financial aid, you need to contact Student Financial Services to make sure that there isn't going to be a dramatic effect on your financial aid. And also just think through what that means for your transfer plans and so on, because again, you don't want to find out afterwards that you took credit or no credit and you always wanted to transfer to a school outside of CUNY and now you have to retake the class because you should have just kept to the letter grade. And the last thing, excuse me, that I need to say here, and I'm just trying to find it. Oh yeah, the withdrawal period. So basically the last day by when you can withdraw from a course is changed, and this changed some time back, and you guys received information about this, and I also mentioned it in a previous class, is that it's now changed to June the 4th. June the 4th is also the last day of class. So basically, if you are unclear, so there's LaGuardia, right? If you are unclear as to whether you want to keep going in a class, unless you absolutely know that there's no way that you're going to be able to make it in this class, I guess what they're trying to say here is they're trying to give you as much time as possible to catch up and get your, I guess, quote unquote, act together, because the previous withdrawal date was in May. Now it's been moved to June the 4th. So, you know, going back to the academic calendar, as I said, it's basically the last day of weekday classes. You have to withdraw by or before that date. So that's a massive concession, you know, by CUNY. Because like I said, normally the withdrawal date is a month earlier than this. So now you have some more time to catch up on work and think about whether you actually, you know, should be withdrawing from a course or not. And if you are taking classes in spring session 2, which is basically summer classes, like I said, those classes are going to be distance learning. Fortunately or unfortunately, I think for some of us, maybe unfortunately, because it's not our preferred mode of instruction, but they've also, to try and help people, they've also extended the withdrawal date to August the 1st. That has to be done at the end of the semester. Alexis, can you just repeat your question? Do you mean the withdrawal that has to be done at the end of the semester? I don't know if you have.
I think she's talking about the credit grade. Like when you get your grade, like how long?
The credit, no credit. Oh, it's 20 days from the last, from the day when, if this is what you're asking about, the credit, no credit thing, you have to do it by 20 days after the grade submission deadline. So grade submission deadline for us this semester is June the 15th. So you want to make sure, sorry, I'm on the wrong page. So you want to make sure that you do it within 20 days from that date. In fact, you know, your professors in your other classes would have had to submit grades by the 15th of June. So you will probably know all your grades by June the 16th. So at that point, it's a good idea to be going through them and see if you need to make that decision about credit or no credit. And remember, I have to keep giving the caveat that if you do choose to go the credit, no credit approach, you have to make sure about what the implications could be for any type of financial aid situation and so on. I mean, it's still, I think the bigger issue is probably the no credit, like if you fail a class, because you know the other things that with the credit, you're still completing your degree. So financial aid, in my opinion, shouldn't be impacted too much. But if you choose to take a no credit, just ask Student Financial Services. There's phone lines where you can call them to just ask them what this might mean for your particular situation. Unfortunately, I can't give direct advice on financial aid because everybody's situation is so different. So hopefully that answers the question, Alexis. Let me see here. Okay. Again, just to reiterate, last day to withdraw is June the 4th. That doesn't mean, you know, that you wait till 11:45 p.m. or whatever on June the 4th, because the system might be overloaded or something might happen with the internet. Just please, by June the 4th, you should know where you stand in your classes. And if you don't, you need to speak to your professor before then, and you'll be able to make probably a good decision. So if you withdraw by or before this date, you'll have a W grade, and you'll be able to retake the class, and there won't be a negative impact on your GPA. And then, you know, if there is a situation, I'm sure you guys are familiar with the incomplete grade, basically means that you are not able to do some major piece of the work of the class at the end. So maybe due to whatever's going on in life, you can't take the final exam or something like that. If you are in good standing in the class, meaning you are passing the class at that point, and you have proper attendance, whether through assignments or online in real-time classes, you can get an incomplete grade, and then you would have until the beginning of the spring 2021 to take that exam or whatever it is that you missed. Normally, you would only have till the end of fall to do that, but because of the situation we find ourselves in, they're basically giving a massive amount of time to do it. Of course, I would say if you are in the situation, you want to take this test or final or whatever it is as soon as possible so you don't forget stuff. Okay, so that was a mouthful. Does anybody have other questions about all these things I just shared with you? All right, so it seems everything is clear. I'll just say one more thing. I said this up top, but I will reiterate it here. If you were placed on academic probation for spring 2020, you will not be dismissed based on your grades this semester, and you will just be on continued probation through the fall. So please don't panic. If you had a plan in place to get yourself off the probation list, but now it's falling apart because of all the craziness that's happening with school and life and so on, you cannot be dismissed from the school based on what happens this semester, and you have another shot at it in the fall. All right, so again, this link, if you ever want to go back and look at it at your leisure, this link was under Zoom call materials over here, the guidance for continuity during coronavirus. All right. I also just wanted to share some additional resources. They're here, so you can look at them, again in your own time as well. But I wanted to just make sure that people know about this stuff. Some of the things I've already shared with you before, but you've probably seen this already, but it bears repeating that schools are now offering 3 free meals for all New Yorkers, so that it's not just kids, it's everybody. You can click on this link and find a school or a hub, as they call it, near you, and you don't have to show any kind of ID, you don't have to be connected to the school, your child doesn't have to be going to the school. You basically just pitch up, collect 3 free meals and leave. All right, so that's an option if anybody needs it. And then remember, the LaGuardia food pantry is still open even during this time, and they also offer all kinds of non-perishable items, so you're also welcome to take part in that resource. This you probably have heard about a few times already, but this is a very stressful time for everybody. And if you feel that you need free emotional or therapist psychological support, this is a link that you can click on. It's NYC Well, and you can receive help through text or phone or various other modes of communication. It's all private. We also have something at LaGuardia called Virtual Support Circles. Unfortunately, it's on yet another platform. If you guys don't have WebEx, it's a Cisco, it's like a virtual meeting platform. But basically what this is it's just a 1 hour, 1 hour on different topics, basically almost every day of the week. So you can see here the different types of topics that that exist, and you can click on the link and you'll have to download WebEx, but you would be able to participate in these support groups. Apparently, from what I've read coming through my emails, these support groups are going really well. So that's another opportunity. When we come back from spring break, we will work more on career-focused, activities. So in the meantime, I know probably no one has any time, so I'm not expecting you to necessarily watch all of this, but I just wanted to put this down here in case you were thinking about your resume or career and things during the spring break. There are some pre-recorded webinars from the Center for Career and Professional Development. that they've made available. And then I sent this one to you guys before, and I'm just sending it again as a reminder, because as the semester progresses, you may come to find that you need this information and you need the support. The Student Government Association Tutoring Lab is open and providing virtual support during this time. You can get the tutoring for math, for chemistry, biology, physics, accounting, economics, and writing. If you want to have a session, you basically have to email Flora Flores to request tutoring, and it can be tutoring through Zoom, through email, FaceTime, or a phone call. All right. If you have papers that you need to write and you are, struggling with that, the Writing Center is still offering support virtually, and they are doing it through Zoom, but you do have to check in if you have an appointment. You also need to actually ask for the appointment by contacting them. They see a lot of students, so basically that's why they want people to check in and make sure that they're actually keeping the appointment. And also for more support with writing papers, we do have a dedicated librarian for our class. His name is Ian McDermott. And if you do need specific help, you can contact me and I can put him in touch with you. But if you just need general help, there's reference librarians are still available. There's databases that are available. People can help you with research. And then also, this link takes you to, and I shared this with you before, but again, it bears repeating, for ePortfolio, which is what you work with Jessica, but obviously I look at your work as well. There is a website for support, all the tutorials that you could possibly need, resources for students. It shows you how to log into ePortfolio, how to upload files, customizing things, publishing pages, sharing your ePortfolio, and so on. So that's another resource that's available. Does anybody have questions on any of these resources that I just shared? Let me see. No one's looking for me on chat. Okay. All right. I promise this won't go on forever, but these resources, in my opinion, are pretty important, especially if we're going into the spring recess. If you even just want to strategize for how you want to approach the rest of the semester, I think it's important to know what's available to you in terms of resources. Then before we get back into the advisement stuff that we were talking about last week, I thought that it might just be helpful to go through which assignments have been rolled out to date for this class, for both the time that you spend with me and the time that you spend with Jessica. I remember on the first call that we had together, I think it was Hoover that said it's difficult. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I remember saying it's difficult to keep track of everything and to make sure that everything is getting done, because there's so many bits and pieces of information flying all over the place with all the classes. So I thought, since we're going into the spring break, and I know that some people are not up to date yet with everything that they were supposed to have done for this class up to now, I just compiled a document that was saying this is everything that you were required to do up to now. And if you haven't done everything that is listed here, like I said before, I would offer incredible amounts of flexibility during this time, understanding that we are in unprecedented and difficult times. So our assignments to date, as of today, you can cross-check. So the first thing that we had was when we were in class together on March the 3rd, there was a lesson called, fixed versus growth mindset lesson. And if you didn't know where to find that, it's just under class materials, and it's this lesson right over here. So if you hadn't done that in class, you can still catch up if you want to. I mean, I'm not going to stand behind people with a stick to tell them that they have to do this stuff, but these things count, 1%, 2%, or whatever towards your overall grade. The second thing that you had to do was the work that we would have done together on March the 10th, but then I couldn't come to the class due to unforeseen circumstances. So I had made 3 videos to go through with you on how to complete these documents. The videos are up on my YouTube channel, and these assignments were due via Blackboard submission on March the 22nd. So under assignments and due dates on Blackboard, there's all the assignments, there's the link to the YouTube video that explains the assignment, and you actually submit by clicking on this link, and it will allow you to update, to upload your information. And so if you choose to still complete this late, if just in order to have done it, you can still do so, because I'm being flexible because of the circumstances. And then if you don't know how to upload an assignment in Blackboard, I actually put a YouTube video from Blackboard right at the beginning here, so that it can help you to show you how to do it. It's fairly simple, but watch the video. 2 weeks ago, we spoke about majors, transfer, and career. You had a worksheet where you had to choose 3 careers. You had to write about your career. You had to choose transfer colleges and so on. That was due on Sunday, March the 29th. And a number of people did the work, and there are also a number of people who have not done the work. So that's where you were supposed to submit this. And then this is the actual lesson. And then the final thing for me is the degree plan worksheet, which is what we will continue talking about today. So sorry, I just went off into a different thing. So this is for submission this evening. The degree plan worksheet, you already know what this looks like, but I'll just open it again. This is our reference document from last week. It's where you basically make your selections of all the classes that you still need to take in order to complete your degree. Once you've done that, sorry, this is incorrect. It was going to be due on Sunday, but I actually changed it to today, because I thought that people might still need some support. And if you cannot complete this by today, just talk to me separately, because it doesn't help me or you if you submit some type of half-baked thing, because I'm going to pull down whatever you submit and try to work with you to make sure that you are ready for registration on April the 23rd. So I'd rather help you further to work through this than have you submit something that doesn't make sense. All right. Questions for any of these 4 items that I just discussed before we talk about the studio hour? Here's a question on chat. Let me see. Oh,
when are you going to reach out to us on our degree, the degree plan worksheet?
Who's speaking?
Handel?
Hi, so when I reach out to you is going to depend on how soon I get the work. If people are submitting fairly actively, I suspect that I would need about a week to just go through everything, and I would be able to get back to you probably around the 14th or the 15th of April. Either just to say everything looks good, or to say you need to rethink something or whatever, for you to then have a week to be able to get everything under control until we meet again on the 21st, to confirm with me that you've made corrections or whatever, and then you can register on the 23rd. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Any other questions? All right. So the studio hour is the Thursday class where you meet with Jessica Amar. And so on this document, I also just listed everything that was required in that class, because Jessica is basically doing with you the work that I have instructed her to do with you. So I'm also looking to see if you guys did the work. So she also has a studio hour e-portfolio where she puts the lessons and all the instructions and so on. That information I included in an announcement some time back, and if you scroll back through I mean, you guys would have it from her, but just in case all hell breaks loose and you forget everything, the information for the studio hour, you see here where it says studio hour Thursday class. I've got the information on how to log into ePortfolio, all the support for ePortfolio, our course ePortfolio, where she puts all the lessons, the Slack channel for the studio hour, and then obviously the fact that you also meet via Zoom. So you should have already done an about me. There was a personal SWOT, career planning, which is all on the ePortfolio, transfer planning, which rightfully some people are still finishing up, that's fine. And then exploring your major choice, which is basically a written piece where you had to think about the prompts. So Hire, are you still on the call? Is it, and if so, is it okay if I just use your ePortfolio quickly as an example, please? Let me see if I lost Hire. Yeah, I seem to have lost him. So in that case, I'm not going to use his ePortfolio. He was on the call, but he seems to have dropped. Is there anybody else who wants to volunteer themselves for me to go through? I'd set it all up to use Hire's thing, and he was the first person on the call. So now
you can use mine if you want.
Who's speaking?
Hoover.
Oh, I thought so. Okay, I just want to make sure.
I'm not exactly sure how far I've gotten though, but
it's fine. The point is not even about. Oops, what just happened now? Sorry, hang on. Sorry, Anastasia, I didn't mean to go into your thing. It seems that my computer is like hyper sensitive today. Okay, let me just find you, because let me go to the class and just do it that way. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep clicking through things. All right. So Gutierrez, right? All right. So here we go. Here's Hoover's ePortfolio. So just to let folks understand now. So Hoover, this is your about me. I'm not going to read everything, but this is the type of thing we're looking for. There's a picture. There's some discussion on you, your goals, your plans, your skills, and so on. You're saying what your major is, what your hobbies are, etc. You also did a little bit of trying to bring some color and life into the ePortfolio and trying to put your own mark, on the thing to make it your own. So that's the about me. And then under planning for success, you had the understanding myself, which is the SWOT. So you were talking about your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, and then over here at the end, you're required to. There's actually I can't show it here because this isn't my ePortfolio. But if you click on here, there's actually a question that comes up saying, now that you've discovered, your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, how can you use your strengths and opportunities to overcome your weaknesses and threats? So you want to write, something here in the reflective exercise, and maybe you wrote it, but then you have to publish it.
Right. I think I was in the middle of it, and I didn't finish the publishing. I'm actually in the middle of it now.
Yeah,
have it open now.
And this brings up an important point for all of us, that if you even if you're in the middle of something, I mean, unless you really don't want someone to read it at this point, your best bet is actually to just click publish. The reason being that Jessica goes through, people's work. Like if you guys meet on Thursday, she'll maybe go through on Tuesday or something to see what everybody has done, and then she sends me a progress report. So if your work is unpublished, then she may remember from class that you did something, but because we can't see it, we can't check you off. Does that make sense?
Yes. All right. So I'll just go ahead and publish it that way.
Yeah, and I mean, for your own sanity, maybe just publish anyway. So when you just take a overall view of your portfolio, you also have an idea of what's happening. Then yes, the next step, you were asked for career planning. So you went in and you went to the career planning early stage and you started typing up on the jobs that you want. You will eventually put in some picture or something to make this, you know, look a little bit more like your own. So you got up to career planning. So then they were still transfer planning and then this exploring your major choice. So what I'm going to do is go into the, I guess what you would call like just the template to show you guys about the other two parts. So just 1 second. So under planning for success, right, this is just a template, so obviously it doesn't have anybody's information in. You also would have gone into transfer planning early stage, and you can still do this. And excuse me, you're welcome to take the survey if you want to. If you don't want to, that's also fine. You're just talking about what credentials you need to reach your goal. So you're filling out, do you need a bachelor's degree? Do you need a master's? Do you need a doctorate? And then when it comes to the transfer reflection, there's actually some questions here to answer that you can type into this box. And that's part of it. And then those of you who want to go to Baruch, or you want to go to Queens, or you want to go to NYU, you're just putting the college's name. And then depending on where you are in your journey, you can check off whether you've done all of these things or not. Don't panic if you don't know how to do this. I can help you, so can Jessica, and there's still time, okay? I'm trying to do very little on the ePortfolio this semester, way less than we need to, just to give people breathing room to be able to actually do the work. But again, like I was saying, is if you want to spend some time during the spring break to catch up on your stuff, you know, I'm just showing you where the things are that were already due. Then the last piece is on degree planning early stage. And some of you reached this already, I know. There are a few people who already did this. We went through degree maps together. We went through degree works together. So what Jessica had asked you guys to do this last Thursday, if you had reached that point, is to just answer these 3 questions. And you basically are just typing your answers over here, where it says my major reflection. You're answering these questions. What's your major? What kind of skills do you need? Why did you choose the major? Does it is it in line with your strengths, and so on? And it's things you've already been thinking about. But what we're trying to do is look at, you know, it's a process, because you're looking at yourself and your about me. Then you think about your strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats. And in light of those things, you look at the requirements of the degree. You look at your career and transfer, and then you kind of come around again and say, yes, you know, in light of everything that I've discovered about myself so far, I am still wanting to do this degree, and here's why. Or now that I've looked at all these things, you know, I'm not so sure, and I'm going to look at some other options as well. All right, so those are the things that were needed up to now. And as I said, all of Jessica's work and stuff is on the ePortfolio. There's also the Slack channel, and you need to publish changes so that she can see and I can see that you've actually done the work. Questions? Yeah. Questions on the chat?
Yes, regarding Jessica, you said you were going to send an email of all the work that we had to really catch up on, because I believe I had to catch up on a few things.
So no problem. So let me show you. I can send out the link for the ePortfolio again. I'm going to show you how it looks. Hopefully this will open, because I am already what do you call it? I am already logged into ePortfolio. So basically, in an announcement / email that I sent on March the 24th, I included this ePortfolio link. And, you know, I can send it again, but I just want to show you. So basically what she does is she has, for every meeting, right, basically a lesson plan for what's going to happen in that meeting. So she's showing you basically a video here for what's required, and then going through whatever is due for that day based on me and her talking. So you basically have from, I guess, when you guys, well, when you started, I think you were in class together, but she does have the information about how to create the portfolio. You don't need that because you already have an e-portfolio. And then for the first week when you met online, here's the lesson plan as well. I just have to check with the only thing that I'm not sure of is where the Zoom, if she's recording the Zoom call, and where the Zoom call is posted. That's the only piece. I'll ask her today, and then I'll email you guys later. But this is where you can see basically line by line what she was doing in the class. Is that going some way to answering your question?
Yes, Professor, that's helpful, definitely. And
Who is talking?
she
Sorry, just tell me who's talking because I can't see you.
Steve's talking.
Oh, it is Steve. Okay, it sounded like you, but I don't want to guess. Yeah, and follow your next question.
Yeah, I just was curious because you said she is doing Zoom calls on Thursdays. I just is she emailing the ID number? Is that right?
Yeah.
In my understanding? I know
Yeah,
I
she's
know
emailing the ID, and what I found, because she and I were talking back and forth about whether, some people are on the call and other people are not on the call, and we started to realize that people are not checking. I think she was emailing specifically to the live at LaGuardia account because that's what's connected to the systems that she uses. And then I realized that many of you guys have alternative addresses on Blackboard. So I sent her the listing of emails on Blackboard, but I'm not sure at this point, which email address of yours is on there, because are you saying that you are not receiving the information?
No, I just want to double check because I haven't seen anything, but like you said, it might be that it's on another email or my live email, so I'm just gonna double check. But I'm sure.
But that's it's not good. Did you join the Slack channel at all? Do you know what I'm talking about? And it's okay if you don't. Hello?
The what? I'm sorry?
So there's a tool that's almost like a messaging tool called Slack that she uses to also send information. If you haven't joined that either, then I can understand that you probably are completely lost with not getting the information. So I think what needs to happen here, and Steve, thank you for bringing this up. I think that what needs to probably happen here is that everybody who is on this call, who is not receiving Jessica's emails, should contact me, okay, and contact me with the email address that you are actually checking, right? So that I can speak to her about updating the email list that she has. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't want you to, sorry, I'm just trying to get back to the proper Blackboard. I don't know what just happened there. But I don't want you to be in a situation where you aren't, things are crazy enough already as it is, where you can't receive proper information because of some email issue. Because there's definitely a preponderance of people who have a different email address on Blackboard, so they're receiving stuff from me, but because they are probably on CUNY First or whatever, you're still on your live account. She's using your live account. Theoretically, in these times, you should really be checking all email from all email addresses, because professors could be contacting you anywhere, especially your live account. So please do check, but we are happy to work with everybody to try and get you on a proper email address that you're actually checking. I see that Navjot, you said that you also are not receiving emails. So it's Steve, Navjot, anybody else who's not receiving emails, maybe the best thing, I like what you did here, Navjot, maybe the best thing is just to put in the chat window that you're not receiving emails, because then I can just take your names immediately. But, you know, confirm you are receiving emails from me, but you're not receiving emails from her, right? All right. So,
Professor, I'm sorry, I just checked my email. I have received from her, Jessica Amar. Yeah, I have received from her.
okay, so maybe you just didn't realize that you were getting the email. So you're okay. Yeah. So I shouldn't put your name down?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So
no. Yeah, I do see it here.
Okay. Okay. So Jessica Amar, A-M-A-R. Yeah. Everybody else who thinks they maybe are not receiving emails, please check for that name, because maybe you're just missing it because it's not a name that you recognize. Because remember, you basically only met with her once, and that's even if you were in that first class, you only met with her once before we went to distance learning, so you may not even have known her name, even though I've said it a few times. So Jessica Amar. Navjot, you're asking me if it's possible to transfer to Stern, so straight into the Stern School of Business at NYU. I think you probably, because you're doing the you're doing an associate at LaGuardia right now, you would probably have to look to see which classes you have to have completed before you can get into Stern. And I can try and see also if we can find that. There's a very well put out requirement for Baruch. I know you're not asking me about Baruch, but I'm just using it as an example, where they actually say in order to be admitted into the Zicklin School of Business, you have to have completed these, let's say, 10 courses. So my advice to you would be to look at NYU's website, look at the Stern School of Business for transferring in, and determine which classes are an absolute must for you to have completed. And this applies to any other school outside of CUNY, you guys, if you want to go to the school. I know it was Navjot and someone else, like maybe Castro, Jonathan Castro, someone who said they wanted to go to NYU. Please look to see which classes have to be completed before you can be admitted into Stern. Otherwise, you just get admitted into the general population, and you have to finish those classes before you can actually get into the business school. I hope that helps with your question. Any other general questions before I go back to what we were talking about last week? Anything on the assignments or the resources at this time?
I have a question.
Yeah.
She told us about Slack. Do we benefit anything from having, like, is Slack necessary, or what exactly is Slack?
Yeah, so I can go over that. So basically, Slack is a communication tool that a lot of companies use when people work in teams, and the student success mentors use it a lot amongst themselves as well. And basically what it is it's just it's a messaging system, but it's instead of using people's phone numbers and I guess getting your message system full via your phone number, you're just using this portal to be able to send messages out, like sometimes last minute messages if there are changes in the class or things like that. And also any information. So do you benefit in this case? You would benefit from the fact that if there's something, she probably would send an email, but if something is happening, super last minute or whatever, she may also send a Slack message to alert you guys. I'm also in the Slack channel, and what has happened in the past, for instance, was someone couldn't get onto the call with her, and they actually contacted me in the Slack channel, and I was able to give them the call information. So those types of things, that's what you would benefit from. And getting onto the Slack channel, it's pretty seamless. Back to this thing from March the 24th. You're basically just clicking. You go on your phone, you click on this, and it's just going to ask you to log into the Slack channel, and then it just has push notifications to tell you that someone is saying something in there. If you don't want to join the channel and you are pretty good with getting onto the call, you receive her emails, you're having a decent experience, and you don't want to have to deal with one more thing, I totally get it. And you can choose to not be on the Slack channel. There's no requirement that everybody has to be on Slack and information is only going through Slack, nothing like that.
So I'm sorry, just a quick question. So if I'm receiving all her emails fine and your emails fine,
yeah, and you're able to join the class, and you're getting the work done and so on. Slack is really almost like I said, it's a difference between getting an email and a text message. If you aren't, a last minute person who didn't know where to look for the emails, and, you're not sure if the class is meeting or whatever, then you don't have to worry about it. Especially, like I said, I know people are struggling with dealing with, 10 different platforms. So don't worry. If you're in the class, you're receiving the emails, you're able to communicate with her via email. If you have questions, don't worry about it. Okay?
Okay, thank you, Professor.
All right. Other questions, guys? No? All right. So one thing I wanted to show you before the time goes so fast. You would think that that all this administrative stuff didn't take forever, but it always does. Something I wanted to show you that you may or may not know about already. Sorry, and I think I just downloaded into my downloads. Maybe you guys are already familiar with this, maybe not. Do you know that LaGuardia has an app in the Play Store or in the Apple Store? Can a few people just say yes or no? Do you know that there's an app?
Yes.
Okay, so one person knows, or some other people know. You can also type in the chat window if you want to. So, okay, I'll assume that at least one person doesn't know this. So basically, if you're going to the Google Play Store or you go into the Apple Store, if you look up LaGuardia Community College, there's actually an app that exists there. And if you download the app, all you have to put in is your regular username and password for My LaGuardia. You'll choose that you're a student and you log in. And I guess you don't have to, there's not a requirement for this class that you have to log into or have to download this app, excuse me. But there are a few benefits of the app. It's quick reference for notifications if things are happening on campus. You also can have quick links to things like degree works and so on. You also can see your schedule right there in the app, and who the instructor is and what the room is and so on. That means you don't have to go into CUNY first all the time if you're looking for stuff. There's also an electronic ID card. We did have, when the app first came out, some issues with campus security not wanting to accept this, but the administration had spoken to them a few times to say that this ID card is valid. So if you forgot your ID card somewhere or you're just not carrying it, you actually are able to show your ID card in the app. Also shows what your courses are, and just like on My LaGuardia, it will also show who your advisor is, for the semester or in general. And then you can also make appointments. I know obviously right now we can't make in-person appointments with anybody, but in future you would be able to make appointments with, transfer, with the Center for Career and Professional Development. You can look at stuff to do with financial aid, I mean, etc. And there's also other things
Professor,
that,
I'm sorry to cut you off. I have
Yeah.
another question.
yeah.
If I had a immunization hold or I was
Immunization,
able
you
to
said?
give
Mhm.
yeah, is the department still available for me to handle that, or should I? How do I do that?
Yeah, I think that, so immunization hold is probably through, that's going to be like through probably like a student financial services situation. Those places are not open, but they're all still reachable via the phone. So let me just go, yeah, I think there's like a, just see if I can find it now. Not the food page. Let me see. Oop. I know I clicked on this the other day, and now I'm like, I think it might be this more information. That's the wellness center. That's not what you're looking for. I'll find it again. I think oh yeah, campus services. Is it that? Yes. Okay. So every area of the college that you could possibly need is still contactable either via email or phone. So if you needed, like, I don't know exactly who, I mean, if you got the email for an immunization hold, then there's probably a name of an area that you have to contact, right, to get it done.
I haven't gotten an email regarding any.
Oh,
any
is it on your My
It's just in
LaGuardia?
my in my CUNY in my alert.
Okay, so you may want to speak to Student Information Center, because they'll be able to point you in the right direction, or you could speak to, let's see here. I mean, you could try Health Services, but I suspect it's probably going to be a Student Information Center that will be able to direct you properly.
Okay,
They're
I can figure
answering
that
the
out.
phone 9 to 7 and 9 to 5 on these particular days. All right?
Thank you. All right, thank you.
Okay,
Professor.
no problem. All right, so with the, where am I? Where's the mobile? Okay, so with the mobile app, I'm just showing you this, not because you necessarily have to download the app right now. I'm not going to go through everything. This PDF is on Blackboard if you want to see what's available with the app. But what I just wanted to remind you that the app does exist, that you can use it in this time, that they, you know, it may be an easy way to see where you know, to see your own information and not have to navigate a million different things at the same time. And then, of course, when things are back to normal, you know, the app will also serve its purpose when you're on campus and trying to just have a quick reference to, you know, in which class do you meet, or, you know, who's your professor, or whatever the case may be. The other thing that I also just wanted to say to you guys is you may have, and in fact, let me go here. You may be seeing on your My LaGuardia that you have, like if you look at My LaGuardia, you have something like this that says who your advisor is, and a person with a picture, and it's not me, probably, and it says make an appointment, or this person might have tried to contact you. I did mention this last week, but it may not be as obvious to people. So basically what's happening is because of the situation with COVID-19, everybody in the college has been assigned to an advisor, like in student advising services. Under normal circumstances during your first year seminar, I would be your advisor, and I still am your advisor for this class because I've chosen to still advise you. But you may at some point in the future be contacted by someone who is telling you that they are your advisor. So I don't want you to get confused. Basically, this is happening because the college is requiring advisors to reach out to every student, regardless of whether they are being advised in the first year seminar or not. And at that point, when the person reaches out to you, you probably will already be well underway with your course selection and your process with me. So you're welcome to just tell them that, yes, you'll talk to them, or you can tell them that, you know, you're working with your first year seminar professor and you're planning to be ready to register by April the 23rd. It's up to you, all right, if you still want to speak to them as well. What I will say is that these advisors have hundreds of students that they have to deal with, so they're not going to try and work with you. Sorry, I don't mean to circle this person's face. I don't know them. I just mean like whatever shows up on your LaGuardia. They're not going to try to do like all 60 credits with you or anything like that. They're probably just going to try to do a really quick thing where they try and make sure that you know which classes you're taking for the fall, okay? Whereas we are going to go through a systematic process to make sure that you graduate on time. So again, you're welcome to speak to them. You're welcome to respond to their emails and so on, but I will still work with you to make sure that you register by or after the 23rd of April. So I don't, again, I'm saying this because I don't want people to get too confused about why is it that we are doing advisement in this class, but you are still receiving notifications from someone else that they are your advisor. If you are in ASAP, you obviously, or some other program where you have a dedicated advisor, they will probably also contact you and work with you. And again, you should talk to them because, I mean, in ASAP, you have to talk to your advisor. And if you already have an ASAP plan, you can show it to me and we can talk about it. But again, my main aim in this class is to make sure that you understand how the curriculum works, that you understand which courses you're taking and why, and that we work out, you know, all the credits that you need to graduate and that you are ready to register by April 23rd. Okay, so does anybody have questions about this piece? All right. So that's the end of the extreme amount of I guess admin stuff, but also informational things that I had to tell you. I did want to, because I felt like at the end of last week things got a little bit quick there. So I did want to go through again a little bit the curriculum guides and the worksheet and what is required of you for today. I don't necessarily know that we would have to stay here, you know, the whole time until 12:45. We'll see, because people may have questions. But remember last time we went over the degree works and you saw you know, what's the total credits you need. You saw the required core, the flexible core, and the program core. And then I said to you that this document, right, has to be filled out by hopefully today, where you put for starting with fall 1 2020, you're putting down your selections for courses with the credits, or equated credits is when you're taking things like ESL and ESR and so on. They may not have actual, it's like a 0 credit course, but it has credit hours, which become then equated credits, all right? And then is that going to be part of your required core, part of your flexible core? And if it's part of flexible core, you have to tell me which category it falls under, or is it part of your program core, all right? And you're doing, so let's say you already have 17 credits in progress. You don't have to write out those 17 credits again if you don't want to. Then you're just going to do, you know, the other 43 credits, the selection, and then the point is at the end, you should be able to, with the credits that you've done already and the credits that you map out over here, you should come to 60 credits, and we would know based on this, you know, the final semester when you expect to graduate. I know there are some people who are still in ESL or ESR. That's fine. Just plan out as if you are going to you know, be successfully completing those courses and then get into ENG 99 and then, you know, ENG 101 and so on. And you'll also be able to see which classes you can take even while you are still dealing with your language requirements. I just, you know, for business administration, I just wanted to, because most of the people in this class are business administration. So, and this, although this applies to you know, everybody, when you look at your curriculum guide, the part that I felt went a little bit quick last time, and I just want to reiterate, is with the flexible core, all right? The flexible core, remember, there's all these categories that you have to take classes in: world cultures, US experience, creative expression, individual and society, and scientific world. And then you also have this one additional course that, you know, additional flexible core course that you have to take. Remember that we have given you recommendations of the classes that you should be thinking about taking based on what the department knows in terms of the transferability of these courses. So, you know, everybody in business admin, the accounting folks, Anastasia, the travel tourism, and also Lexus is paralegal. You guys all have a curriculum guide that you may already have been referring to. And at the bottom of that, right near the end, the last page, it's telling you, right, which classes you should be considering. And then also, remember, we all spoke about this unrestricted elective, the 2 credits that are kind of any class that you can take. Some people choose to take the Math 120, which is the statistics, if they haven't done it already for the required core, because, excuse me, because they are wanting to complete the options in order to transfer maybe to like a Baruch, right? Because a few people are talking about Baruch. I'm just going to take you back to transfer services. We showed this last time, but I'll just show it again because, again, that lesson, there was a lot of information. If you go to the transfer services website, and you go to the 4-year college transfer info, it's restricted to CUNY, all right? But again, because many people said Baruch, if you click on Baruch, this is where you find the information that says, you know, what's the average GPA of a student that goes to the school. You will only be able to transfer 70 credits. So don't go wild at LaGuardia and say, okay, I'm going to take as many classes as possible and go way over 70, because they'll only transfer 70 credits. And then if you kind of, you know, we can just skip over some of these other things for the moment. But to Navjot's point about Stern, Navjot, I believe Stern should also have something on their website that's going to say kind of like the minimum courses that you should have before you can be admitted into Stern. Zicklin does the same, right? In order to be eligible to get into Zicklin School of Business and not just go into the general population of Baruch, you must have completed 10 pre-business courses with this minimum GPA, completing at least 45 credits, and these are some of the classes that they are looking for. And as I said before, for many of you, Baruch is what you're hoping to make your final destination. So 45 credits is only 15. It's basically 1 semester away from 60. I normally recommend, and LaGuardia does in general, to all my students to just finish your associates and graduate. It also increases your transferability, and you will actually have a degree then at that point, as opposed to trying to run and get, you know, as quickly as possible to some other school and then having to battle it out to finish your bachelor's. And unfortunately for a lot of the students who do part-time school, often the bachelor's will take up to, or in total, all the years at LaGuardia plus trying to get through the bachelor sometimes takes as long as 6 years. So if you have an associate already, then at least you can put that on your resume and start getting work if you have to while you are finishing your bachelor's. So that was the curriculum guide. And then I'll just go to the degree map, and then I'll stop talking because I want to take questions, but I also want to give you a little bit of time to work maybe through some of your questions or some of the stuff that you're trying to finish for this class. The degree map is available. Let me just go back here to the LaGuardia website. If you don't want to go into Blackboard, you can find the degree maps under academics. And over here, you choose which, where you want to be. So we're choosing business admin. I'm just, again, choosing it because the majority of people in this class are business admin. Over there's the degree map. There are people with a healthcare management option, which I also added. I think it was Tanisha and someone else. I added this after the fact because I didn't realize it. I didn't see on your, or I maybe didn't pay proper attention on your degree works that you were healthcare management. So healthcare management option is there as well. So that's where you can find this information. Let me just go through it quickly. So the purpose of the degree map is kind of to lay out the degree, almost like the best case scenario if you are coming in and you have no developmental class requirements or anything like that. This doesn't mean that this is what you have to do. It's just showing a sampling of what you could do, right? And I will repeat again today, like I did last time I said this, if you are confused between accounting and business administration, remember that the only classes that are different are principles of marketing and principles of management. Are the two classes that are different in business administration. So if you're still thinking maybe I'll do accounting, you can go up to accounting 2, right, and then make your decision, because then if you don't want to do business administration anymore, then you take intermediate accounting 1 and intermediate accounting 2, right? So avoid taking principles of marketing and management early if you are still confused about whether you want to be accounting or business administration. So you don't have to take classes that you don't need. For your final semester, at the beginning of the last 12-week course that you are taking, you have to register for this thing called Intent to Graduate. This is the code, GRD000. Basically, what this is saying is alerting the registrar to the fact that you think you're done, and they will go through your transcript to make sure that you are, in fact, ready to be done. So when you guys fill out your worksheet that you're going to do for me, make sure that in the 12-week semester before the end, of your time at LaGuardia, that you write in there intent to graduate, so that you will remember to do it. All of this work that we're doing, once I've given you corrections and once we know that you're solid and you know which classes you're taking, you will transfer into your e-portfolio. I'll just show you where now. On the degree plan worksheet, over here, there's a whole space where you can put everything in, and then you don't have to worry about managing, a piece of paper somewhere along the line and forgetting what we said we will do. So you need 12 credits again for your required core. You need 18 credits for your flexible core and 30 credits for your program core. Over here at the bottom, I think it's quite helpful. It's showing you what is a prerequisite and a co-requisite. Can anybody who's still awake tell me what is a prerequisite and a co-requisite?
Hi, Professor.
Hi.
Elena.
Hi, Elena.
So to my understanding, a pre or a co-requisite is for example, if you're not a native English speaker, I know that you have to take ESL classes so that you can take English 101 or
Right.
English 102.
Right. You're absolutely right. So prerequisite is going to mean that you have to finish this class before you can take anything else. And co just means what, Elena?
That you're allowed to take a certain class if you're taking something like equivalent or something like that.
You
Something
can
that
take
help you.
yeah, you're almost there. So certain classes, like I've had students who were in CSE 95 taking accounting 1 with me at the same time. It could be pre, but it might even you might even be able to register for a co. And so sometimes the department has to give permission, And so I'm pointing this out because you might look at a course that you want to register for, especially if you are in ESL or CSE or ESR or something like that, or ENG 99. You might be looking and saying, uh-oh, I won't be able to get into, let's say, BTM 101, which is Intro to Business, which is really an important course to take as soon as possible because it's a prerequisite for many other courses, as you can see here. But talk to me and we can talk to the department, because sometimes they do give permission, because sometimes people are placed in these, like an ENG 99 or something based on some random test that you took or something to do with high school grades, and it doesn't even make sense because the person, is fluent in English or whatever. So, bear these things in mind. Remember that we did say that for your internship, the 201 class, which is where you actually go and do the internship work, the prerequisite for that is the 121 class, which is the internship preparation. You absolutely cannot do those two classes in the same semester. So when you are building out your degree, degree spreadsheet or table, make sure that you place BTI 121 before 201. So the way they did it over here was in the second semester, they did people, work, and organizations. And then at the end, they did the internship. You don't necessarily have to wait till the bitter end to do the internship, because you may struggle to find an internship and you don't want to hold, you don't want that to hold you up from, I'm trying to see where the note was now. I thought I saw note 8, but I don't know what that's about. Okay, but yeah, so see how you think things can fit into your life, and also whether pre and co-requisites are going to be an issue. Here's some more information about co-requisites for English, and again, the reading stuff and the math, but if you have very particular questions, like if you're in a 117 or 119 for math, you're fine because you're finishing any developmental requirement. Plus, if you're in 117, it's math 115. If you're in 119, it's math 120. If you are in ESL, I mean, you're just going to go through the sequence, right? 97, 98, 99, depending on where you are. Then you're going to go to your ENG 99 and so on. But I can help you with all of that. Make sure you're planning out 12 weeks and 6-week semesters, unless you think that that you're not going to take classes in the short session. Also, for this short session, I wouldn't recommend more than 2 classes. I think you can take up to 9 credits, but you need permission, but it's too much. The short session is just so short that you don't want to overwhelm yourself with all of that work. And the last thing I'll say is, remember, you need to take at least 1 class that's ending in an N. If you are business admin, remember we already recommend over here SSN 187 if you choose to take that. The other courses, I think the travel and tourism already has the urban study baked in, and I think the Alexis, I think you, for your paralegal, you will probably also have to choose an urban study. I can check. So that's what I have to say about the curriculum guide and the degree map again. Does anybody have any specific or general questions at this time? Otherwise, I thought it might be helpful for people to just continue to work on their stuff and actually ask me questions. Any questions right now? All right. So would it be helpful to give you, let me stop the share and go back in here. Would it be helpful to give you some time now to look through what I just shared and maybe give you, let's say, 20, 25 minutes to work on some of your choices, and we'll just stay in the big room and you guys can just call out questions to me as they come up. Is that a decent approach? Or would you
Yeah, that's
want
good.
to?
That sounds good.
Okay, so one person, anybody else want to give me a sign of life? Are we okay with that?
Yeah, I think I'd be okay with that.
All right, so let's do that. I mean, if you have something else that you want to do instead, that's up to you. If you already finished your degree selection, whatever, then you can, submit it into Blackboard. But I mean, if you're done, you can even talk it through with me now while we have these 25 minutes. I'm going to say, let's just aim to go between now and 12:30. People can also email me stuff over, I mean, not email me, you can chat to me in the chat box, and I will respond. All right, I'm right here. So work on filling out your course selection to get you up to 60 credits, keeping in mind everything that we have discussed, and take the degree map and the curriculum guide for your specific degree and try to make what you're choosing as much in line with your transfer and career goals as possible.
Professor, what document is that?
All right, so I'm gonna share again here, Tanisha. You can see my screen, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you're in Blackboard, are you in Blackboard right now at all?
Mm-hmm.
You see this thing that says Student Degree Plan Worksheet?
Yes.
That's the document. When you open it, sorry, I thought I already downloaded it, apparently not. When you open it, it looks like that, all right?
Okay.
So what you are doing is, and Tanisha, I think you're healthcare management, right?
Yes.
So what you're gonna do is you're gonna look for your healthcare management curriculum guide. You see it over there.
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna look for your healthcare management degree map. And you're gonna use those two along with everything we discussed, and looking at your, and I know you're close to the end, you're probably like 2 semesters away. So
Yeah.
you're just gonna look over that and plan out those last 2 semesters to make sure that you get up to 60 credits. And plan it out in light of everything that's going on now with any courses you think you might be dropping and what have you. All right?
Okay. Thank
All right.
you.
Professor,
Yep. Yeah.
I just had a question. Oh, I just had a comment actually. I'm right now at my major is business admin,
Yeah.
and I did want to concentrate on travel and hospitality, but I didn't change that before school was not able. So am I still able to do that over line? And now that I'm gonna hand in today my degree works, should I obviously I'm the one that the major I'm gonna be doing, correct? Not the one that I have on.
Okay, so what you're saying is you are definitely sure that you want to change to travel tourism, right? Is that right, Stephen?
Yes, that is right.
Okay, so you should still, I don't know if they, about major changes, you should be able to contact the registrar to ask them what the process is. But we, even if we were going to be there in person at the school, it would still take about a semester for it to reflect on your degree works. But in the meantime, you could still take the classes that relate to the major that you want to change to. Does that make sense to you? So in other words, when you change your major, degree work sometimes takes a semester to catch up. And you just then continue to choose your classes as if your major has already been changed.
Yeah, perfect. That's what I was.
Yeah. So right now you should be indicating to me on your worksheet that you want to change to travel tourism and choose your classes that way with either the travel tourism or the hospitality concentration, and use the travel tourism curriculum guide and the travel tourism degree map to guide your choices.
Great. Thank you. I just
All
wanted
right.
to comment. Appreciate it.
Okay. Navjot, you asked me for the email of the bookstore. I put a link that takes you to the bookstore's website. And on the left-hand side there, you'll see where you can click to email them. I didn't look for find an actual email address. It just says send us an email. And when you click on that, it's basically opening up my Gmail. I think it does show the email address once you click on send us an email. Do you have a particular concern with the bookstore that you want to share with me? Like, is there something I can do to help you?